Welcome, everyone. This is The Bards Among Us, the importance of music and role-playing games, sponsored by Reframe. Reframe's a paneling group of me and people that like to panel, and we do a bunch of panels. There's a panel happening at 7:30. It's a makeup panel, and it's all at the end. I'll show you that later. We have two more, whatever. All right, so the goal. The goal of this panel is to gain insight and perspective of many kinds of musically inclined professionals or people, and how it helps to hinder or help role-playing experience. By the way, we all know what a tabletop game is, right?
Yep. Perfect.
Great.
We're halfway there.
We are.
Yeah.
Last year, people came and didn't know what it was, and I was like, well, I guess we could explain it, but...
Go next door.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, there are a bunch of really cool tabletop games next door.
They'll tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah. Yes.
So we're going to introduce the panelists. So each panelist was somehow selected to be part of this.
It was very professional.
And they each have at least a decade of role-playing experience under them, fully accumulating to almost a century of it.
Is that true?
I mean, if you actually add up us individually, like, it's almost a century.
Okay.
I spend a
makes
lot more
sense.
time on you guys than you.
Because I alone have like 15-something years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I guess.
Look, math is hard. Don't ask me to do math.
Yeah, it's like 7 p.m. on a
Wait,
Thursday.
no, I was
don't do
single-digit
math.
age, and I'm like,
Okay.
okay, yeah, so maybe, oh, wow.
Moving on.
This is Ilia.
Hi. That's
Just
me.
graduated with her degree in anthropology.
It only took 7 years. It only took 7.
Loves historical literature so much she made herself a living piece of Jane Austen herstory.
Really?
A former color guard girl,
That's news to me.
It's like all these.
lived in Broadway,
Not that
Broadway, Virginia.
There's a lot more cows.
All right, so I'm Lodestar. Thank you. Thank you.
That's just the last name of my last D&D character, so I'm just
Oh.
Oh, I thought it was the really cool picture behind a high school. Thank you, Instagram. But yeah, who knew, a rainy night. By the way, for the one who did guard, that's me getting a floor out of that tin over there. So I'm a known bard. I have over a decade in dance experience. I was a soloist in the G Yummy African Dance Troupe. I studied dance at George Mason. I'm a teacher, instructor, and coach for dancers of all ages. And the only reason why it's that is because no job I ever get can pick a singular title. So I get all of them. I'm an award-winning choreographer for multiple genres of dance, all awarded by the students on paper plates. But it was like 4, so it's multiple awards.
It counts.
And I'm one of those cool color guard people. I still do it because I coach, so.
Cool color guard.
Yeah, every color guard person I know is cool.
Oh, and I'm a supreme in my own coven. It's just because that's why I took this picture, because I was like, you can't witch with us with an umbrella. I felt it.
Okay.
All right. This is HazyAudio.
Hello.
A talented former musician. A former soundboard techie. Deaf in one ear. The previous bullet explains why, to him, audio can be hazy. Thank you. Or thank him.
Insert some groaning noises. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Escaped from the friend zone and will be going on his honeymoon in 2 weeks.
Did you write this?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I feel like I'm getting more of a sense of you.
I mean, I'm telling you what they're willing to share.
Cool. As a note, I'm Cole Burkhardt. My pronouns are they and he. Please respect that. Hell yeah.
Has never accomplished anything and will continue to do so.
Yep.
Awesome.
That is in quotes, because I did not share it.
That is accurate and true.
A voice artist, because you're more than just a voice
Yeah,
actor.
I
You do, like,
am.
everything.
You know, I might as well because all of this has changed. I'm a voice actor and audio producer. You can come up to me. I think I have cards, but voice actor, audio producer. Have been for about 2.5, 3 years now. I've been tabletop gaming for about 10 or 15. Fuck. Shoot. Sorry. Time is not real. I've been tabletopping for a while. If you want to go through, I can expand.
A professional sound engineer.
Yes.
A multi-talented podcaster.
I do both tabletop games, actual plays, audio dramas, interview sessions, Lots of stuff.
We were thinking about doing a rewatch of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Ooh, that might be fun.
Has anyone seen Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
Cool. It's a really
Thank you.
good show on Netflix. Please go watch it. We can't get distracted, please.
Promotes a lot of work that they do.
Yeah. It'll take us too long for me to go through and say everything that I do, so we'll just skip it for now.
And there was supposed to be another panelist here, but she has pink eye, as of a few hours ago.
Yikes.
But she's an accomplished singer, fluent in Japanese, can sing in both languages, has never done anything bad in her life as a conscious decision, and wants to know who else knows what a wolfaboo is.
We're not getting into that.
I was hoping we wouldn't bring that
For
up.
the love of God, we're not getting into that.
She's not here, so we don't have to do that part.
It's okay.
It's just someone
Do you know
really
what
into
weeaboo
wolves.
is? It's the same thing.
But
Yeah.
for wolves.
Yeah. It's basically saying she's a furry, but not actually.
All right, so the panelists.
Unless-
Boom, 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 boom. Yay.
Of course you picked that one.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
It is a gorgeous
Listen.
picture.
Hey, there were better ones.
That was a pretty good one, though.
So, we are going to move into, we have a couple questions that our lovely moderator is going to go through, and we're going to talk about it, and then we will eventually move over to audience questions.
Yes. All right, so I guess to start off with, music in tabletop games. Do you actually like using music in your tabletop games? Like, there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people with different tastes. Do you actually enjoy using music to set the mood, anything?
You guys want to start?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I find that music generally heightens the moods. It'll make intense fight scenes even more intense, and really sad, depressing scenes even more funny.
That's very topical.
I, on the other hand, while I do enjoy the occasional music, listen, thinking is hard, and also having to think about music on top of it can get a little complicated. I do like using it for when I'm doing some very casual sessions or we're doing a one-shot, but for the most part, I try not to worry about music too much.
I like it, but it's usually because I don't like other background noise. Like, I was playing on New Year's Eve, and there were, like, people thumping in the hallway.
And fireworks.
And fireworks.
Mostly the fireworks.
I'm very skittish as a person, and I always think it's some conspiracy theory about to happen, so the music distracts me from getting distracted by neighbors.
Cool.
Yeah, that's all I
All
got.
All right. Simple enough.
Yeah. So with that, I guess Hazy kind of touched on it a little bit. So if you're going to use music, it's usually a bit of a struggle to piece out the right sort of music. When do you use music?
I mean, like I said, generally speaking, I try to use music only to accentuate certain events that are happening in the storyline. If you use music all the time, it kind of loses its luster. I mean, you can have it, but I feel like background noise generally is a better fit than music in a lot of scenarios. Like, if you're in town, you're probably not listening to music. Like, you probably listen to town sounds to
Yeah.
get more immersed.
Oh yeah, and there are a bunch of things besides music specifically you can use to help create ambiance. Even just using like the sounds of a tavern, or if they're traveling, you can use the sounds of like the environment around you. It doesn't specifically have to be like a beat.
Yeah, my personal favorite is a bubbling swamp.
Yes.
That we I think we had that
Found on
running for
YouTube.
about five sessions, maybe 6.
Yeah, so about 30 hours.
Yeah,
I
that's,
like
that's
the
a pretty
very,
long time.
like spooky atmospheric, like you'll hear a creaking every once in a while, or like the cool moans of a ghost, or it doesn't have to be full-on music. You can just
I like to be the ghost.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you can also be your own sound effect and be a ghost yourself.
Nobody else really appreciates it, but I like to be the ghost.
A cool thing I mentioned last year that a game I was a part of did was the DM had everyone pick a theme song for their character. Kind of, yeah. But then would go online, kind of find an instrumental version of it or some like non-super invasive or abrasive version of it, and would just like kind of subtly play it when it's that character's time or that backstory is revealing.
Cool.
So that was kind of cool.
That's neat. Yeah.
If it wasn't so much work, I'd say let's do this for all of our sessions.
So where do you all find all of this nice music or music substitute? Like,
Okay, so as a podcaster, there are a whole bunch of different music sites you can use. Give me 1 second, let me pull up my list. But YouTube has a whole bunch of non-copyrighted songs you can use. There are even places like, it's called Ben Moore Sound. You can also, God, I don't have any reception in here. Cool, well, there's also
that's a thumb.
freesound.org has a whole bunch of little bits, or you can use them for sound bites or even getting sound effects. A lot of it, in terms of just finding little like low background noises, YouTube is going to be your best bet. You really have to look into like the licensing of things, because some of them only let you use it in specific areas, but for the most part, if you're doing just a session like tabletop game with a whole bunch of friends, YouTube's your best bet.
Yeah, I also like using Sirenscape for some like actually specific sounds. I just like the way that the composer put everything together. It doesn't have a lot to offer, but what it does have to offer is usually pretty high quality.
Sirens what?
Sirenscape.
Like landscape.
Yeah.
I just use YouTube. But because when I'm choreographing and like doing stuff for my dance or guard team, we have to play with the copyright and what is usable and what isn't usable still. So I kind of find like really like not big composers, and I'm like, hey, do you mind if I use your song for guard? And luckily composers probably did band, actually know what guard is. And they're like, oh, can you just send me a video? I'm like, sure, thank you. But because I dive into their work, I like follow the rest of their stuff, and I usually find cool music through them.
There is another website, with one that I just remembered, and by remembered I mean I looked it up. It's called freemusicarchive.org. It is a very good website. There are thousands upon thousands of different songs, all of varying lengths, and a pretty easy search feature. The one downside about that website is sometimes it just doesn't work. Where like they're implementing new features and sometimes the song will disappear in the middle of you playing it, but for the most part you can download them. There are hundreds of songs you can find. It's a pretty good resource. Free Music Archive. Then there's bensound.com, and that one has a lot of Creative Commons music which you can buy or play snippets of.
Did you say Ben Sound?
Ben, B-E-N-S-O-U-N-D. Then, last but not least, YouTube does have an audio library, which has a lot of free music for content creators. A lot of YouTubers will use a lot of the same jingles from that area, but they also have full like soundtracks and full ambient music as well.
I would be careful with anything like that. We just recently had an issue where there was a composer who had something marked as free, and then when he saw how many people were using it, issued a bunch of copyright strikes.
Yeah,
he removed it, so anything that was already out was unfortunately flagged as copywritten material. So.
Yeah. So
be wary on that
yeah.
one, but everything else should be okay. I mean, everything is fine if you're just doing it in person with just your friends, if you're not distributing it out to anyone.
But if you're streaming, sometimes you can get flagged, or if you're doing it like for like a podcast, you can also definitely get flagged for it. So just make sure you're reading your licensing and
And ask questions if you get confused.
Yeah, that too.
Questions are always good.
I imagine, they would much prefer you just take the time to send a 5-minute message and ask, rather than, well, let's ruin this person's day.
Yeah.
Well, not always. Some people. Let's see. So generally when you're picking out music, is there anything that you avoid? Music, soundtracks?
Yes.
Lyrics.
Anything with lyrics. Yeah. I have an audio processing disorder, which means sometimes if there's too much stuff, I will not be able to function. So anything that has lyrics is absolutely going to be more invasive of like a sound to hear. So a lot of, no lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah, lyrics just throw me for a loop. Also, working in schools, I never know what lyrics are gonna pop up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, if it's no lyrics, that's easy.
I don't know. Sometimes there are songs that have like too high of a BPM for the like feel that I'm going for.
I like to run Through the Fire and Flames through every song or every session that we have, just to get the blood pumping. you
Yeah,
know.
it's a good
Now
startup
that sets
song.
the atmosphere.
That's how I get pumped. I don't know if it works for you guys, but it works for me.
How do you feel with regards to, say, orchestral music with a lot of, like, a lot going on?
Yeah. Do you guys want to?
It's all I listen to.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I use it when. So I'm also a counselor
As far as, like,
at a school, and I play it during sessions all the time because the kids love it too. And I'll be like, hey, here are these 3 choices today. What do you want to listen to while we do our other things?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I also listen to a lot of it, but generally I try to keep things a little bit more muted for people like Cole who have a bit more of a processing disorder. You don't want a lot going on. You want people to focus on your story anyway, not so much what's going on in the background of your story.
Music
Like, you're here
is
to have
a-
fun, not to completely just, this is new music I found. Listen to it.
Yeah. DMing is the main course. It shouldn't be your music.
Yeah.
If that makes sense at all.
Can be appropriate, though,
yeah.
for sure. Sorry.
question, please.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked about having songs that have vocals and words that can be distracting. What if they're like non-verbal vocals, like just chanting or something?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I want some Gregorian chanting when
Yeah.
you're in a chapel, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something you don't
Something that doesn't have like, I find that if there are lyrics to it, I'm gonna try and listen to the lyrics. But if it's something like chanting where they're not like specific words, I think will work. A lot of it is just figuring out what works for you and the group that you're DMing.
Yeah.
Also, it breaks the game imaginary sometimes, but when people do that with me, I'm like, can someone just tell me if this is English or not? And then like I can refocus. Because if it's something I think I might be able to understand, I'm just going to be trying to translate it the entire time. But if someone's just like just generic, like, no, it's just a pretty la or just a sustained note, I'm like, okay, fine, that's fine.
Please.
Have you guys ever used a specific leitmotif to show that a monster or something else is happening?
No, but I do have some really good examples of that. There is a streaming show called Dimension 20. They are kind of along the likes of Critical Role and Not Another D&D Podcast. But every time there's a battle, the background of their like environment will change from a red to a blue, or if it's a more social thing, it'll be a nice purple, or you can do it that way. It's a bit hard to find a lot of the like lighting instruments for it that you can like change smoothly, unless you've got like one of those fancy remotes or light bulbs or whatnot. It can be done, but sometimes it's a bit tedious to do.
I was actually more talking about leitmotif in music.
Oh,
Yeah,
or light.
so-
Okay. Ignore me then. I'm just gonna go crawl under this table.
No.
Oh,
You get to
that's a lot of
stay up here
cable
with
sessions.
us.
So I actually use Final Fantasy XIII's soundtrack a lot because half the soundtrack is whatever Sarah's theme is, and it's really pretty. And there was actually Florence from Florence and the Machine. She listened to a podcast about orchestra music in video games when she was trying to redo Stand By Me for Final Fantasy 15. And apparently there's like a whole science about when they're composing for video games that the video game music is supposed to help focus more. Yeah. So that's why I usually just go to video games and then just find the motif, and then I'll be like, all right, we'll try and make it work. And I've noticed that when I DM, people aren't paying attention to music as much as I am. So you can always stretch it.
Yeah.
It's in the back of their minds, not the front.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, kind of dipping into video games a little bit. Breath of the Wild Have y'all played?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have not.
I wish.
You have a Switch now, too.
What you're
haven't
talking
opened
about with your RPG music kind of mimics the way that the music in Breath of the Wild works a lot, where
Yeah.
for the most part, there's not going to be like a lot of, there's not going to be like a lot of music until you get to like that higher point.
Right.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
like a monster shows up, or you get to a specific region. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if there's a question there. If there's
It was a good example.
Yes.
I can't remember where it was, but like, do any of you like draw inspiration from RPG video games like that, or?
Final Fantasy a lot of the time.
Do you guys
Yeah.
remember my Five Nights at Freddy's campaign?
I try very hard to forget.
Was there music?
There wasn't any music, but oh boy, that was a.
Oh, you
fun
mean the
night.
actual gameplay unmusically?
No,
Yeah.
no. Do you remember we did that Five Nights at Freddy's? I had you guys run through the shop.
But we did it wrong.
I mean, so.
But we did it.
We just
winning.
attacked and killed the animatronics.
I mean, it's whatever. Look, that's
We
fair.
have powers. We're going to use
Is
them.
anyone surprised the DM's plan didn't go smoothly?
Plan, yeah. I do really like Breath of the Wild. I think that's a very good like setting for an open world. I know a lot of games in general already have such a strong like motif to it that I don't feel the need to draw on anything specific.
I mean, most RPGs nowadays have a very specific theme they go with,
yeah,
and
like
then they have
Shadowrun is
variations.
sci-fi and D&D's fantasy and we
Music
have-
themes too. Yeah.
Yeah, music that too. But like,
Which is what we're here
look,
for.
sci-fi is a music theme. Sci-fi is very like
Yes,
space
yes.
and techno and
Long drawn out notes.
yeah,
Yeah.
EDM or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so like sort of playing on this, I get that you know have this atmospheric music going on, but like what about like the outcomes of critical events? Kind of like, okay, this is a critical make or break roll, boom, and then like a game show reaction, either like yes or no, like on the spot. This sounds like something that's it almost takes you into live action DJing and like
Yeah.
It's a lot
I want to ask
easier.
it easy, but anyone can feel this.
Sure, sure.
Specifically, you seem to be the most technical. Like, how would you rate that?
Generally speaking, I would have probably either a soundboard or like I can't remember the name of it. It's not a soundboard specifically.
Like one of those things with all the buttons on it, and you
Yeah,
press a
yeah,
different
yeah.
button, it corresponds to sound.
Yeah.
Like
so
the
you
thing in
have,
Pitch Perfect 2?
Sure.
Yeah.
Like an Ableton type of
Yeah.
So you you could do that, or you can have your keyboard just set it up, have your computer set up like every button is a different sound file. Yeah. It's a lot more complicated to do it that way, and I feel like I'd probably be the only one stupid enough to try. But
You could do it like post. I know for like, I mean, if you're going to be doing it live with people, it might be a bit complicated, but adding it in, like back in post would work.
Yeah.
But that'd be more for your audience than your players.
you also have the option of using your phone. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a lot of apps that you can download that will do exactly what you're asking.
Except
like
I just-
Sirenscape has a pretty good feature. I think I mentioned that earlier, but it has a lot of like reactionary sounds as well.
I just use YouTube. I just look up like Siren.
If you're fast at typing, you can also just use YouTube.
Yeah.
But commercials may pop up and ruin the mood. I've had that happen a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious.
YouTube Red only to avoid commercials during your
Oh God, nothing will ever convince
No.
me to get YouTube Red.
So this is another question.
Oh, we
Oh.
actually had someone in the back.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't. Yeah.
Cool.
I've been planning for a long time a cyberpunk setting game, most likely Shadowrun.
Sure.
And I've had a lot of thought about doing effects like this, including music and sound effects. And one of the things that occurred to me is genre is as much a part of this as type of sound effects and type of sound.
Oh yeah.
And for too long, in my personal opinion, cyberpunk has been relegated to the realms of techno.
Yes.
Yep.
It's time to put the punk back in cyberpunk.
Yes.
Oh yeah. There's a really good Unraveled about that, about like what music would be like after the apocalypse, and it just turns out it's ska. Yeah.
Skull for life.
Did you still have a question?
Sorry for the confusion.
It's fine.
But, this is mostly for Hazy, but also like asking all of you. Have you ever tried to compose just like simple beats to play behind your
Oh
music?
God.
Not
Nope.
that skilled.
Yes, absolutely.
Very not skilled.
It's a lot harder to set up a battle theme or like a theme in general if, one, you don't know the kind of people you're playing with at first, and two, you don't know the kind of campaign you're going to have.
Right.
I mean, at this point, I think I know pretty well what you guys like, but it's also fairly time-consuming, at least for me, because I work too much.
I've messed around with like GarageBand and a couple of those like online beat makers, and it's good for like getting bass beats. But for anything that like, if I've recorded something and I have a scene that I want music for, I tend to just buy pre-composed music. I really, really want to get better at learning how to make music so I can incorporate it into my games. It's just, a lot of the music experience I had was not something like composed. It's all just by sound.
Yeah, and these guys got tired of me barding it up with the guitar every session. They're like, listen, you can't have a bard every time.
Every time.
If anyone wonders, that's why it's former musician. We took it away.
Snaps it right across their knees.
If you've ever heard the phrase yeet.
Yeah. Listen, I won't break your guitar.
I'd appreciate it. Those are expensive. I spent a lot of money on those things.
But like composing for me is so. I did it in middle school for like a few classes. I was in a bunch of music theory classes, but I learned that one, playing and making music was so not my forte. I was better at reacting to music because I understood all the philosophy, but that makes sense with the whole dance part too. You're reacting to the music.
Yeah.
So that's my angle.
You can try it. It's definitely a lot like what Hazy said. It's definitely difficult if you don't know what you are creating the music for when you go into it.
But if you do, it feels great when you get that perfect song for that perfect moment. Oh.
What is this?
Yeah. Would you like to download it? It's $2 on iTunes.
MySpace.
Who uses MySpace?
Actually, it's still #1 for music, apparently.
It is.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
MySpace?
MySpace is still
MySpace.
running for the music scene.
Huh.
Yeah.
So we're all
Absolutely
learning
positive.
things tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very weird, but it's interesting to go back and look. I forgot my MySpace fake name I used, so I really cannot find me at all. But like, if you just go on with just browse around, yeah, MySpace is still hopping.
Yeah. It's a great place to find new and upcoming musicians for sure.
Okay.
Which is another great resource for finding music for your role-playing games.
Neat.
They're also a lot more willing to work with you than a lot of
Exactly.
other people.
Find them before they're famous.
Did you have any other questions for us?
Yes, so I'm going to go ahead and ask Cole and Hazy this one. I do have a question for you later. I do, I promise. But
Just remember,
one
this
is
panel's
more
about
related to-
him, not us.
This one's related to, I know you both have run sessions online, everything. So we've got all this lovely music, we have this background sound, little noises, pings, whatever it may be. How do you share this with your players? Like,
Difficultly. Unless
You can go ahead.
Cool.
Get started.
I do most of my gaming through Discord. And Discord is, for those who aren't familiar, Discord is like Skype, but better.
in every way.
It has much better voice calls, much better chat, much better like you can organize stuff. You can have different channels for different things. But one of the good things is they also have a bunch of bots you can use. You can invite them into individual servers. There are some bots that can record voice calls, ones that can play music from Spotify, ones that can play music from YouTube. I don't have any particular ones off the top of my head, but there are a whole bunch of them out there. Those, after a little bit of like messing around with, is how I mainly get my music to start. And it's good because players individually can go and lower the music if they need to, or they can turn it off completely on their end, or people can like turn off the DM's voice and just listen to music if that's what you want to do.
I don't know why you're here,
Yeah.
but
Roll20 also has a couple different options, not quite as in-depth as what Discord has, but from what I am aware of, they have a jukebox, like a, you can like set it to play through a specific playlist, and then it will automatically start playing once your session begins. But that I haven't quite messed around with as much as Discord.
I messed around with it a lot.
There we go.
So Roll20 has a massive library of completely free and insane audio samples just built into the system itself. Much like the bot for Discord, you can have each individual person raise and lower their audio on their end, but the jukebox, you can set it up to be basically whatever you want it to be. The sounds will play for everyone who has sounds enabled. It does have the unfortunate side effect of starting out really loud. So if you, so if you have a fun jump scare and plan for your players, you have to make sure to warn them, otherwise they quit on you. Yeah.
I am that player.
Yes. I'm very sorry.
No, it's happened more than just for you.
Yeah.
It happened at 2 Broadway shows I was at. Yeah. Yeah, the Percy Jackson Broadway show, I just saw that last week. It starts with like thunder.
How is that?
Not as bad, we can talk later. But it starts with a whole like thunder boom, and I just screamed. Because I was in the top section, I just screamed. It was hilarious. Sure. But also the girl, so it was me, my sister, and some random person we didn't know. Me and her screamed. And we both apparently like hit my sister. Also, has anyone seen or heard Waitress?
Oh yeah.
I screamed at that one too.
Serious? There's no jump scares in Waitress.
But okay, but there was. Because like Oogie's like behind the counter and he's like, "Hi," and I screamed. I was like, "Oh my God."
Okay.
I'm very skittish.
Okay.
And if you have absolutely nothing else, you can always play sound through your microphone and have everyone hate you.
Yeah.
But it works.
It's probably like a last case.
It's the poor man's version.
I might prefer a YouTube link. I could click it myself.
Yeah. You can always do a 1, 2, 3, click, countdown kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
But on one or go?
Sorry.
Question, please.
You're going to have to look it up now.
There's a whole bunch of them. Yeah. Discord actually has a really good website where you can search through bots. I don't know the link off the top of my head, but I'm sure if you just search Discord bot info, it'll pop up.
Yeah. Google's a lot more helpful than we are, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I guess following that, for those of us who manage to escape the modern world and actually meet face-to-face, very rare these days, I know. How do you go about sharing music? Do you go on YouTube? Do you get a speaker?
Well, I have a giant speaker system in my house for specifically this occasion, but I'm sure not everyone has that. So if you have a TV, you can also just play it through your TV or through your phone or, through your iPod shuffle.
I don't talk to people in person, so this probably isn't a question for me.
That's for us then.
I use a Blackweb Bluetooth speaker that was $15 at Walmart, but loud enough to reach across a football field.
Yeah.
There you go.
And it has a hook on it, and so it could like hang from the top of your tent according to the box that it comes in.
Not that we'd ever see it in a tent.
Yeah, no, I like literally, but it's very durable because I literally like chuck it at the kids. I'm like, here, just take this somewhere, and just play it from the corner.
I guess for if you're doing something like a live show, mostly just your laptop connect up to a sound speaker.
You can even connect it to your phone.
Yeah, that
You
too.
just-
Oh yeah.
Like plug in a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not do that, because then I will be tempted to play music this entire time.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Yes.
More of a fun question. As a bard yourself, have you ever,
Me?
because you apparently have assaulted or
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
you have the loudest of speaker systems. Have you ever tried to plug in like an electric guitar and during battle just...
Please don't give him ideas. Please don't give him ideas.
Stop.
Hold on, I gotta write that down.
I do know a couple people who like actually played bards who would bring their own musical instruments.
I hated all of them.
Yeah, I have met a couple DMs who will give you like an extra die of inspiration if you actually play or sing the song that you as a bard are doing in game.
Did you need LARPs?
You could do it for
You
LARPing,
could
sure.
do it for LARPs, but yeah.
I'd be so scared of my instrument breaking, bringing it to a LARP.
Yeah, I'd want to do one of those like end of the show where they smash their guitar, except it's over someone's head. If guitars weren't that expensive.
A public service announcement: don't actually smash your guitar. It's bad for the guitar.
Yeah.
This is kind of why the mending cantrip exists.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have
Wait.
mending prepared right now. Please don't smash my guitar.
We'll have to wait until the next.
He's
long
lying. He's a
rest.
magician.
Wait, okay, hold on, wait.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
What?
I'm sorry.
Next character I make, I'm just gonna get mending and just.
And you've.
I don't know.
I was just saying, use prestidigitation, just make a tiny one.
Yeah. World's smallest.
I actually own a very small violin that doesn't work.
Play you the moves. That's actually an app that I have on my phone.
Oh,
That's amazing.
Beautiful, beautiful.
But to answer your original question, no, I haven't assaulted my my players' ears. I liked playing with them. Unfortunately, I do appreciate their company.
I destroyed a game with prestidigitation.
If you are going to do
It's
something
true.
live like that, make sure that you cover it with your DM first.
It's also partially why I went partially deaf.
Yeah, that'll do it.
All right, so I guess we've heard from the people who usually run these things. How about the people who usually, well,
The
of the
people.
bards among us, the bard among us is at the end here, Lodestar. How do you go about making these noises? A lot of times your characters will,
He just exists.
Yeah.
yes.
Wait, do you mean like sound effects
Yes.
in?
Like, how do you,
What are your favorite go-to sound effects?
The scuttle.
well,
The stuttle?
Yeah, scuttle from like sha-la-la-la-la-la.
What?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, okay, okay.
But Kiss the Girl, that's the song.
Okay.
Thank you for getting what we didn't.
Which is how the game always goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, love you, Lodestar, but sometimes we need a translator. Some of the stuff you try and pull.
I mean, usually he just puts it on his phone and shows us, and then we don't have to try to figure out what he's talking about.
But what do you mean? Are you talking like in-game character sound effects or like
like,
Like your turtle.
if you have a character that likes to make sounds a lot, like a turtle who makes siren sounds as it trucks along the grass.
it flies?
How would you recommend people with characters like that go about sharing?
Tenters are fun.
Well, I actually, if you want to make it yourself, the best place to practice is the bathroom. I don't know why, but it is.
It has the best acoustics
And
in the house. Yeah.
start with gargling noises and play with how high you can get your voice or low. I go high. This is about as low as my voice can get, so. But yeah, it's just really just playing with like how wide or tightly contracted your throat is.
If you wanted to go into it.
Sure. Oh yeah, because you should be able to do it.
Yeah, so
you get paid to do this. You
Being
might as
a
well.
voice actor, you kind of have to have a couple different voices prepared. And that can kind of play into the different music and sound effects that you use during your game as well. So for instance, and please excuse me, I have not warmed up, so this is gonna sound absolutely awful, but one of the key like voices you need to be a voice actor is one of your kid ones. And that generally involves contracting the muscles in your throat and moving the sound upwards to your nasal area. So you're gonna start to kind of get stuff like this, and it gets to be really high. And then you can also translate that into the songs and the music that you sing. If you want to go down low is what's going to move lower down into your throat and is going to be more of a belly contraction than anything else like that. Once you kind of get those muscles worked out, you can kind of fluctuate in between the two of them. And that'll help you with like any character voices you want to do. You can also do accents, which I'm not going to do because fuck accents. Of course, you can get to the low and sober, dramatic monologue of someone who talks and is probably very rich and has more money than they know what to do with. Or you can get into something kind of fast and kind of twitchy, someone who like lives on the streets a lot and has to stab someone for the fun of it or fucking whatever. A lot of that can translate over into the, I guess, more of the tone of the story that you're going for, which will help, I guess, isn't just a way of, wow, that sentence escaped me. You can use tone of voice and characters in order to influence your story, not just music. A lot of it's just playing around.
On that note, are there any like websites or anything that like you get vocal exercises from? Because I've been looking for those.
YouTube?
Well, this is the perfect time to plug. I run a podcasting network that is devoted to helping people of color and other marginalized identities find their voice within the podcasting community. We have a bunch of resources to help people who are just starting out in regards to that. Hit me up afterwards. But it is called the Piece of Cake Podcasting Network. You can find us on Twitter at POC Podcasting. We currently have auditions for the network open, but to actually answer that question, a lot of it is really just messing around and finding what works for you. There are a couple different, a lot of the bigger names have done like online vocal exercises, but most of it is just playing around. There are, Rachel, what's her name? It's Rachel Messer. She's a very, very prolific video game voice actor. She has a whole bunch of tutorials and classes for things like that. Let's see, what else is there? Rachel Messer is her name, Messer. Let's see, Messer. Bellow Collective also has a whole bunch of different start-up tutorials and guides for people. Will Williams has a couple on their website, but that's mainly for podcasting. It's really just looking around and seeing what you can find. Hit me up afterwards and I can get you some specific links.
But to answer your question too, because I just realized sound effects is more than just your tone of voice too. It's also the weird noises I make.
Yes, very much
exactly. So it's really just living in your gut instinct and just going for it.
A lot of the stuff is you're gonna get kind of embarrassed when you're first starting out, so it's just getting used to making those noises.
And if they stick around,
Yeah.
they are friends.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. Or you're just so skittish that everything does make you jump and scream.
Yeah. It's the same thing as like learning a dance or learning a language. You kind of just have to practice at it. And for the first couple of sessions, it's gonna feel like you're not really doing anything until you get more of a grasp on ways to make different voices. Same thing works with like beatboxing. A lot of the ways to figure out what you're doing is to just play around with the sounds that your mouth can make and go from there.
It's actually a lot like therapy. Learning, it's a lot like therapy.
You're gonna have to connect that metaphor.
No, I was literally just thinking of it. Like, it's really just learning about yourself, what you could do, and getting comfortable in your own life, and just really like deep introspection on what sounds you can make, when you can make them.
I was kind of hoping you were gonna say someone sits there and judges you for a couple of sessions.
But if I'm so self-confident as I am, I don't care that you're judging, allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Until you go back to therapy.
It is your job as the DM to make sure everyone knows their voices are terrible.
Yeah, my voice is terrible. I try to like voice everything.
Yeah, and like we said, it's gonna take practice to get comfortable enough to start doing voices or to start doing sound effects or things like that.
Practice and drive.
Yeah.
If you can't drive and talk at the same time, don't do that.
But
We're not advocating talking and driving.
But how hard is it for y'all to drive?
Listen, some of us have to focus really hard.
Okay,
There's a lot of other cars on the road, guys.
I'm skittish.
Yeah.
I scream when I'm driving a lot too.
Yeah, that'll work.
All of you have driven
It's true.
with me.
It's true.
It's very true.
Yeah, that's very true. Anything else, or do we have any audience questions? No?
Yes.
Oh.
Please do.
Please.
I'm going to stand up since I'm in the very back.
We appreciate it.
So I've had some, I've been using music. I'm running a Star Wars game, so I feel like Star Wars is really enhanced by music. But one of my problems is combat session. Combat can go on a long time. So I've got a song that lasts 2 minutes. That's perfect, but a combat encounter that's going to last 2 hours to play out. So, do you guys have any techniques you've used to kind of like, how do you solve that problem without making it sound like you're playing a bunch of songs that don't necessarily flow into each other, just like a playlist?
You can keep the audio really low, almost as in keep it almost to a point where you can't really hear it too much. If you want it to be the major focus of it,
Maybe save it for like when something cool happens or when someone rolls a nat 20 or whatever the equivalent of that is for other games.
Yeah.
Anytime you're going to be describing anything like super action-packed or something like prolific in the fight, you could save like some of the more important songs, the songs you play at a louder volume because you want people to hear it, save for important moments.
I usually cut it up, like when you're actually playing a final boss in a game, how there's usually like multiple stages of that boss. Just like in the battle while you're designing it, have like a new stage and just play the 2-minute song and let it just fade out because everyone's usually so pulled into the fight anyway, they're not listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Unless the goal is to play the 2-minute song the entire time, or is it to intersperse it, or do you have other songs along with it?
Well, I mean, I don't have a specific.
Sure.
I mean, like I said, Star Wars. So sometimes you want to hear the larger play.
Yeah.
You don't need to play it for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Other times there's just general combat going on.
Right.
Okay.
It's good to have some kind of background music because not everyone's engaged in any particular moment.
Sure. I mean, you could also.
I also have a suggestion.
Sure, go for it.
So one of the ways that I get around this is because I had a similar thing when I ran the Exalted campaign, because combat can go a little lengthy there. But back earlier in the panel, there was a talk about video game music and how it's designed for focus. A good way to circumvent the 2-hour-long problem while still having is to go for extended versions of the same music.
Yeah.
There have been so many Star Wars video games. What you can do is track down a Star Wars game soundtrack that you like. Go to YouTube, right-click, and hit the loop button. And because it's designed to loop, it won't sound like it
Wait, what?
It's pretty smart. Using looping soundtracks from like video games and stuff to fill those 2 hours.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because Star Wars, there's 1,000,001 video games.
What?
You know what's a really good Star Wars game? The Lego Star Wars.
The Lego
Those,
everything I hear is
Those
good.
are good in plot. Those have great soundtracks.
I wonder why they have great soundtracks.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a mystery.
All right.
I feel like you're being
While we're in between questions,
Lego. I don't know.
is it gonna
No, they
go?
got this.
Is it not gonna go?
What are we doing?
I was just gonna put up. Okay.
Cool.
That's the rest of the panels we're doing this weekend. Feel free to take a picture, come see us. But anyone else have any questions?
Any final questions? We have a few minutes, so if anyone does want to come up and talk to us, but yes.
What?
First, Peter Pan.
Well, not those lines.
Why is this panel on the schedule twice?
Oh, okay. So the one
I
Sunday.
told you about
Wow.
that one.
No, I fixed it on the other panel.
Oh, okay.
Come see us again at
Yeah.
the same time and place.
Same time and place. We'll be having these exact same conversations, word for word.
I'll be asking the exact same question.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Don't worry, if you don't have a time machine, there's one provided to you in the next room over.
Yeah, you'll find
There you
it
go.
last Tuesday.
Yeah,
there
yeah.
we go. So right after this, actually technically right now, we have the introduction to cosplay makeup. After that, we have gaming in the library. You're good. Is that an Angela one, or is that an us one?
It
Do I
should
need
be
there
intro to
for it?
knitting.
Cool. That should be not gaming in the library, but intro to knitting for people who are interested in learning how to knit. Is the next one also going to be correct?
Yeah,
Cool.
because
Then
that's the one we had
have-
to fix.
Then we have roll one out. Danny, do you want to talk about that one?
Okay, so we all know we have to make characters at the beginning of games. So usually we roll dice to get it out.
Yeah.
So it's all about things to think about, ways to make characters, and again, we do have a PowerPoint we go along with, but as you see here, we're very interactive. Bring your questions, bring your friends.
Bring your concerns.
Yes, we'll take concerns.
We will listen to them, yes.
Session 0 character creations.
Session, that's a great one.
And the importance of picking your own battle theme.
Yes. Oh, sure.
And if you see that, we also have links for us. So if you have questions later, you can get in touch with us. I also have business cards now.
Look at this fancy
I'll
person.
have business cards tomorrow. There was one thing that was mentioned, Tenku in general. So Tenku, for those who are not familiar with D&D, are they're essentially the parrots of the fantasy universe. In canon, Tenku can only speak using phrases they have heard before. Something I have seen someone do, and this was in a streamed game, so they were able to go back after. They pulled audio clips of things people have said and set up a soundboard, so each time like they needed to say a sentence, they would press that soundboard and the phrase that this other person has said would come out, and that'd be how they talk
That's
through
really
their
clever.
character. A lot of it is also paying attention to like dialects that people have and the ways people speak. But that was it was a fun thing that I thought of that I needed to talk about.
Sure.
But yeah, Kenku are fun. Are fun.
Are fun?
They're fun.
They're also fun.
They're also fun. Kenku are fun.
And fun.
And also, you can like record different sound bits and stuff. I know when I played it, I would do like a whole bunch of like elephant sounds that I played through. I know, don't look at me like that.
I'm not looking at you. I'm not looking at you at all.
I would do like animal and elephant sounds instead of like actual human phrases. And with that, I would pull up YouTube and literally play an animal sound.
Or my favorite is using Casey Kasem clips for anyone who remembers who that is.
No?
Casey Kasem's Top 40?
How old are you?
Yes.
Perfect. Wow.
But yeah,
Yeah.
no one has anything. Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
We appreciate you humoring us.
Yes.
Do we want to go down the line and just say out loud where we can be found?
You can find us here.
Cool.
Her and her.
I exist,
Yeah.
mostly.
Unfortunately,
I don't
we
exist
don't have
outside
a-
of cons.
That's fair.
Yeah, well, all my stuff is literally, that's my
Cool.
Facebook page. I have a Tumblr, I have a Twitter and Instagram. I have a TikTok, it's the same, I just didn't update it. I don't have anything. I have like 7 videos from 3, so I hoard pictures. So I made a TikTok of a bunch of guard things I did. Oh, making fun of Descendants too.
Oh, Descendants is such a good bad movie.
It is. And Reframe, so if you like us, there's more than just us 4 in Reframe. And they're doing the makeup panel right now.
And they did a bunch of other panels all throughout the convention. So hit us up, reframecons.wordpress.com, or you can find us on Facebook at reframecons. We should hopefully have a schedule up. We should probably post a schedule up.
Yeah.
Lodestar, we should probably post a schedule up.
If they
So,
weren't here, they won't know. It's fine.
yeah.
All right.
And
They
feel-
miss out.
Please look at the WordPress. The person spent a lot of time.
It's a good website.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah. Not surprisingly, it's a good website. Okay. All right. Cool. Let's wrap up then?
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We're going to wrap up. We're finally putting an end to this.
Again.
We hope you all have a very good rest of your con.
If you see us, say hi.
Stay safe. Please remember to shower. All that fun stuff.
Oh, and I have cards up here.